Total worldwide cases of SARS-CoV-2 break over 100,000. The numbers out of Italy are extremely concerning, and an amazing amount of bad information is coming out of health authorities. If anybody's panicking, it sure looks like they are, not us. Hello, everyone. This is Chris Martinson. I'm here with your SARS-CoV-2, a.k.a. the honey badger virus, March 6th edition, and for 2020, I'm titling this one, How to Avoid Contagion. We're going to go through the science that says, here's what you need to do. So if you are a healthcare worker, you need to listen to this. If you are somebody who is going to be treating at home, you need to listen to this as well. All right, let's move into the base numbers here. First, what we're seeing here is that we have over 100,000 cases in the world, 3,461 deaths, 56,107 recovered. I don't believe any of these numbers because I think China had a quadratic curve fit goal-seeking sort of approach to reporting numbers. I believe they lowballed them. We don't know what the truth is out of China, and China is by far the largest. They have about 80,000 of these total 100,000 cases. So I'm not sure we can really trust these. We're getting more data out of other countries. It's all over the map, though. Let's pretend we could trust this for the moment. What would it imply? It would imply take this, divide by the two of those. Thank you, everybody who wanted me to do it this way. It's more accurate. Because now we can say if these numbers were right and this had all resolved, and this is the total set of numbers that we would have at the end of it all, we would see a 5.8% case fatality rate associated with this illness. All right, moving on. The China numbers, whatever. They are just their numbers. They don't mean anything at this point in time. But South Korea, note here, 6,593 cases plus 309. That's good that it was higher than that recently, so hopefully they're getting their hands around it. Remember, a lot of these cases came out of one church cluster that was very aggressive in helping to spread this thing. All right, but interestingly, still the serious or critical patients compared to this is really tiny. What is that, less than 1%? So that's really tiny. We don't know what's happening there yet. We're just going to keep watching it. South Koreans maybe just are tougher and they're not going to the hospital, or they have a reporting problem, or again, remember, could be how things are classified. We don't know. Iran, look at this. They're reporting 1,234 new cases. So they're finally catching up, I think, to the reporting side of this, but still, with nobody reported as serious or critical, that's wrong. Active cases of 3,710, 124 deaths. And none of those numbers are right. I'm sure they're all lowballed. It's Italy that concerns me today a lot, and here they are with 778 new cases for 4,636. But look at this, 462 in serious or critical condition, and we have 197 total deaths. All right. Look at all the countries in the 100 club now. This is going to be a very long list tomorrow, and I may have to go into two sets of tables just to report them all if we're going to do that, or we may have to start cutting it off at 200. Who knows? But I want you to note here that it used to be that this column of new cases had a lot of ones and twos and sometimes zeros in it, like we see for Hong Kong here. Sometimes 8s or 9s, single-digit numbers. And then now they're all double-digit numbers, in some cases triple-digit numbers, in some cases quadruple-digit numbers. These will all be triple-digit numbers at some point if the exponential progression continues, and someday even quadruple-digit numbers and beyond. All right. Germany coming right up the curve here with plus 125 and a lot of active open cases, very few recovered, but very few in serious or critical condition, especially if it's thought that they got their version from Italy. If they did, and these are the same strain, I can't quite make sense of these numbers yet. It's possible that it's just that Italy has got a lot of old people, and that explains it, but I'm not sure that's it. Something feels off in that data at this point in time. All right, France, I told you, they got behind the 8-ball on this, and next thing you know, they're going to be really stepping up to the plate to get their turn at this honey badger virus. Very nasty thing. Japan just sort of trundling along. I was surprised. I thought they would have progressed faster than this. Spain moving right up. USA, it's about to get its turn in the sun. I'll show you what's coming there. Switzerland, look at this, almost doubled its cases in a single day from plus 94 onto that as a near doubling as well. We would see pretty much a near doubling down here. Belgium, that is a doubling right there, more than a doubling. So we're seeing some very, very fast case, boom, sort of action right out of here. All right, if we looked at total active cases compared to closed cases over here, as I mentioned before, when you run the numbers, you get about a 6% case fatality rate. What's interesting is that we're looking here as if we can take these numbers as reported, if we can trust them. There's about a 15% serious or critical rate. That's good because that's a little bit lower than we were thinking, which might be as high as 20%. But let's look at Italy, where just something isn't adding up here. With these 778 new cases, 49 new deaths, total cases 4,636, total deaths 197. So active cases is 3,916. So among those active cases, 2,394 are hospitalized. That's 61%, right? That's the definition for serious or critical is are you in the hospital? That's what I thought it was. Maybe we have different definitions here, but 61% hospitalized, 462 of which, that's 12% of active cases are in intensive care. That's critical. So looks to me like serious or critical is actually 61 plus 12. No, that would be wrong. 61% are hospitalized, of which, okay, so 12% of that, of the total, are in intensive care. So they've closed 720 cases, 523 have recovered, 197 have died. That represents a 27.3% case fatality rate. I don't know how that comes down to 3.4%. You would have to have nearly all of these cases, which are hospitalized, nearly all of these cases that are in intensive care, resolve without any more deaths to drag that back down again to that range. So something is really off here in Italy. Don't know what it is yet. Remember, the disease progression for SARS-CoV-2 is case, cluster, cluster, boom, right? So look at this now. Here's what we're seeing in the United States. 18 new cases, 2 new deaths, including case in Georgia. In Indiana, we now have a case. Somebody who traveled to Boston recently. I live in Massachusetts, so that's not very reassuring. And had been at an event where other people have also tested positive, and they all returned to Indiana. We have one new case in North Carolina in Chatham County. Somebody who had returned recently from Italy. 2 in Pennsylvania, so it's first in that state. 1 in New York, so New York City has 5 cases now, 5th case there. King County, Washington State, that's out there in the Seattle area. 2 new cases in Washington State. Maybe those are the same. First 2 cases in Colorado, that's in Summit County. And again, traveling from Italy, something about those Italian cases, just unbelievably infectious and also potentially deadly. Not happy with that one there. And first 3 cases in Maryland in Montgomery County, they'd all recently traveled overseas. So it's that's how it is at first, but then next thing you know, nobody's traveling overseas anymore, and it's now just showing up endemically in your area. Yeah, so about that, Washington County recommends all 2.2 million residents to work from home. Tells over 60s to stay indoors. This King County is starting to look like a ghost town out there. I saw pictures of Seattle's, usually very clogged major arteries looking like, you could play Frisbee on them. There's no cars. Pretty amazingly barren. So already that's a town in self-imposed lockdown, if you will. But this whole idea that recommends all 2.2 million residents to work from home, somebody's lost touch with how the world actually works, because they forgot about all the people who are chefs and wait staff. They forgot about the janitors, mechanics. They forgot about medical staff, funeral home operators. You certainly don't want to try that, working from home for that job. Machinists, retail workers, on and on and on and on. This is obviously, you can suggest that people and recommend that they stay home, but that's really not an option for a lot of people. So bad advice there. Here's all the countries that have actually gone boom, and they're turning the corner. Germany, just for comparison here. Again, this comes from at Stanfield Ken. Check him out. He's doing great charts and things over there at Twitter. That's his Twitter handle right there. So you can see what this progression looks like. And this is as of the 5th of March. If you can't see that, that's what it says. The 6th, everybody's up. I think this guy's right about here, and except for Iran, which was way higher. It was like, Iran was all the way up here. So that's what it looks like. Back here is where you're being told, don't worry about it. We've got it. We think we've got all the cases isolated. It's going to be different in our country. Don't worry. We're not going to get it. Hey, wash your hands. Face masks don't work. And then I don't know what they're going to say during this part. All right. This is a complete shit show, though. I'm going to use foul language there for a second. So this is Washington, state of Washington, activates a state of emergency due to critical mask shortage, right? So this is a notification that went out, and here's what let's just read this together. All right, masks are in critical supply. This includes ear loop masks, fluid-resistant face masks, including those with attached eye shields, surgical masks, just pretty much everything. With our current usage and supply, we may run out of masks within the next 24 hours. So this is at a medical center, right? This medical center has been utilizing dire resources to restock, including local dental offices, veterinarian offices, and construction companies. So those are dire resources that are out scavenging at this point to try and get face masks for their healthcare workers here in this medical center. In the interim, due to disaster conditions, this medical center will be implementing alternate standards of care to conserve masks for critical and surgical use. So, alternate standards of care for PPE policy, personal protection equipment policy during COVID-19 event for patients in droplet/contact droplet precautions. So here even they're still just running contact droplet precautions. We're gonna break that out in a little bit and show you that that's not sufficient here. Limit mask use to on the patient only. Staff will no longer wear masks unless providing a care procedure requiring removal of the patient's mask. So they're going to have to basically go. They're going to have to go naked on this one. They're going to have to hope that the patient wearing the mask is sufficient in this case. That's triage right there. This is an emergency procedure right here. So as reviewed by infectious disease and safety, exposure risk to staff is low while the patient is masked. I hope the infectious disease and safety really reviewed that carefully, because I've got some data that suggests they might want to re-review that. And we'll talk about that in just a second. So what else do we want to say? Regardless of role or job description, staff working at VMC will not wear a mask other than during the scenarios described above. So I don't know what this means. Does this mean even if you brought your own mask, like you got your own private stash, they're not going to allow you to wear them because that would be against policy at this point in time? Individual departments should develop their own plans to conserve masks. Please continue to be good stewards of our resources, especially during this critical time with masks and personal protection equipment. This tells me that this failure to plan was extraordinary. And so to see something like this popping up here on March 6th, remember, it was January 23rd that I, a guy, reading the news, connecting a couple dots, put out that face masks were going to be one of the very first things. That was the very first alert I put out. I said, hey, this thing is coming. It looks really bad. You're going to need to figure out face masks because those are going to be in short supply first, because I knew that this was going to be a problem. And here are whole medical centers which have people, this is their job. Many of them earn great salaries to manage things like this, and they just didn't see it coming, right? So given that, we now have nurses actually pleading for some sane and logical steps to be taken to help protect their lives. And this comes from National Nurses United, and here is the link for that. So they had six demands, if you will, or asks of their employers, which could be anywhere that these nurses work. So this is a union of some kind. So they would want their employer, a hospital, say, or a doctor's office, shall implement plans and protocols in response to COVID-19 based on the precautionary principle, which holds, I love this part, that lacking scientific consensus that a proposed action, policy, or act is not harmful, particularly if that harm has the potential to be catastrophic, such action, policy, or act should not be implemented, and the maximum safeguards should be pursued. So let me decode that a little bit. It's just, if there isn't a scientific consensus that the act isn't harmful, if science isn't clear, it says, no, this is fine. You can do this. If it's not clear, you go to the precautionary principle, which says, well, then let's pretend as if it's not an okay thing to do, and let's implement maximum safeguards should be pursued. When life and limb is at hand, of course, that the precautionary principle, that's what you do. When I go to my gun range, every gun is loaded. I don't care if I just checked it myself to make sure it's unloaded. Soon as I always treat it as if it is. You have a maximum safeguard is pursued at all times when life and limb matters. When it counts, this is the policy, not the other way. Like, well, let's pretend it's okay until somebody proves that it's not okay. That's not how you do it with a pandemic virus like this. Employers shall clearly communicate with all RNs and healthcare workers, including notifying nurses when there is a possible or confirmed COVID case. Hey, we just want to know. Tell us when there's a possible or confirmed COVID case. We need to know because, we can't all be in condition red, pretending as if we're in a hot zone every single moment. So we go down to condition yellow. But if you tell us that we have a confirmed or possible COVID case right in the area, then we have the chance of dialing up our procedures a little bit, making sure we don't touch our faces, that we were washing our hands a little bit more religiously. We're being more conscious of surfaces and whether we've touched them, things like that. So yes, we'd like to be told. Logical, insane step number 2. Employers shall provide education and training for all RNs and healthcare workers, including on protective gear, donning and doffing, putting it on, taking it off, and all other protocols. Hey, what are we doing? What's the training? How is this going to go? You can't have everybody doing it their own way. We would like to know what's the right way, and let's all be using that, because then at least you have a standard of care and a level of safety that you can control for, partially, or at least as much as you can. Employers shall provide the highest level of protection, including functioning negative pressure rooms and personal protective equipment for nurses providing care to possible and confirmed COVID-19 cases. Sorry, just don't go to this place where they're saying, as long as we got a mask, we just got a mask on the patient, you're good to go, right? You don't need one too. So this is saying that the nurses are saying, geez, we want negative pressure rooms, we want proper PPE, and even papers, powered air purifying respirators. Those are the battery operated packs that actually put positive pressure into your face mask up above to keep every little particles from wandering in. Coveralls, all kinds of things. All right. Employers shall plan for surge of patients with possible or confirmed COVID-19, including plans to isolate, cohort, and to provide safe staffing. So if we're crammed and employers haven't really planned for this, hospitals haven't planned for this, and we're crushed, that creates a very unsafe environment. So their nurses are saying, please do this. Could somebody please just plan as if we're going to get a lot of people? In King County, I believe they bought a motel, 84-unit motel that they're going to start housing people in because the hospitals seem to be a little crammed at this point in time. So I'm not sure that counts as a plan, but anyway, that's what's happening. And here's the most important one, I think. Employers shall conduct a thorough investigation after a COVID patient is identified to assure all staff and individuals who were exposed are identified and notified. Yes, that's absolutely important. And of course, any nurse, healthcare worker who is exposed will be placed on precautionary leave for at least 14 days, I like that part, and will maintain pay and other benefits during the full length of that leave. So if we get exposed as a nurse, they're saying we don't want to be responsible for accidentally bringing that and transmitting that to somebody else. This is what a sane and logical approach would look like. I completely agree with all of these steps and the requests. By the way, I'm of the belief that if you're going to operate at high risk, right, you're going to be over here and having only the patient wear the mask. We shouldn't be there at all. We should be operating on a lowered risk tolerance. We should be operating with an abundance of caution. So before I go into this next part, let's just make sure our terminology is clear. Face masks versus respirators. This is a face mask. I don't think that's Sam from yesterday. It could be. I don't know. I just pulled this picture randomly off of an image search. A respirator is like an N95 mask. This one's got sort of the duckbill shape, which gives you more surface area to breathe through. Other ones are a little flatter, but they have a valve that allows you to breathe out more easily. As well, they all seal against the face like this with the nose bridge piece. A respirator could be things like this, more like you would see in a biological sort of a hazard kind of a thing. But respirator just simply means something that goes beyond the so-called face mask. So let's go to the CDC for a second here, because a lot of these employers that their nurses are railing against here a little bit and asking for more protection from the CDC is providing a lot of the information. So let's address this question. Do face masks as compared to respirators, right? Do face masks work? According to the CDC, the answer is yes. Not according to the Surgeon General and all those other people we showed you yesterday. But here we are. There's the risk factors here. There's the exposure category, which is high, medium, low. They have recommended monitoring for COVID until 14 days after last potential exposure. And does this lead to any work restrictions for somebody who's asymptomatic, a healthcare provider who's asymptomatic? So they've been exposed, but they don't show symptoms. Are there any work restrictions? So let's imagine the setup that here is they say, okay, you had prolonged close contact with a COVID-19 patient who was not wearing a face mask. So you didn't have any source control. All right, if that happened, if you weren't wearing any personal protective equipment, you know what? You're a high exposure category. We're going to actively monitor you, and you are excluded from work for 14 days. So that's reasonable. Okay, of course, because you were just wandering around unprotected in the presence of somebody who has it. That's not good. Well, what if you were not wearing a face mask or a respirator, but you had other personal protection equipment? You had the gown and the gloves. Well, that's still a high exposure category. Still, you're going to get actively monitored, and still you're going to be excluded from work for 14 days. Well, what if we just weren't wearing eye protection? What if we had everything else? We had a face mask or respirator and gown and gloves and all that stuff. Well, CDC says, well, that's medium. That's kind of medium. We're going to monitor you. We're going to have actively monitor you, and you are going to be excluded from work for 14 days because eye protection, of course, this stuff can come in through the eyes. That's well known at this point. Well, what if we just weren't wearing gown or gloves, but we had eye protection, we had face mask or respirator? Well, they said that's a low exposure category, and you're going to self-monitor. I don't know what delegated supervision means, but there's no requirement here on work restrictions. So get back to work. How about this one, though? This is what I wanted to get towards. We're wearing all the recommended PPE, except we're wearing a face mask instead of a respirator. How about that? We got gown, we got gloves, and a face mask. They say, well, that means your exposure category is low, and there's no restrictions and nothing you really need to do about that. So do face masks work to protect you? According to the CDC, the answer is yes. All right, glad we finally got that settled. Hey, let's go to Bad Testing Seattle edition. This is from Tracking Truth. This is at the Peak Prosperity website. You will find each day this video goes up at YouTube, where you're probably watching it right now. It's also loaded over at my website at Peak Prosperity, and then we have comments there. That's sort of where I live and breathe with my comments and weigh in. This person says, I live and work in Redmond, Washington. I'm sure it will come as little surprise to visitors on this site, Peak Prosperity, that the news media is not accurately reporting the situation here. The news is filled with glowing reports of how schools and high-tech industries are able to continue without interruption by switching their labor online. One local news report even had a feel-good report about the impact of the coronavirus is decreasing congestion on the freeways. Yay, that's lovely. The truth is that basic services in the area are beginning to be affected by workers calling out ill, and nothing is being done to test and adequately quarantine ill workers who may have coronavirus. As an example, a friend who works for a large home improvement store nearby developed a fever and low dry cough yesterday. He was encouraged to go home and seek testing to make sure he did not have COVID-19 before returning. Today, he tried to get tested and contacted a local clinic. He was instructed to drive to the clinic and wait in his car so that he could be tested without entering the clinic. He was tested, but only for the flu and for strep throat. Both tests came back negative. Well, what do you think they should do then, huh? Well, they sent him home with a prescription for fever reducers and a doctor's note excusing him from work for 2 days. They said he could only get a COVID-19 test if his condition warranted hospitalization. So, in 3 days, he'll be forced back to work. If he has COVID-19, he'll pass it on to his coworkers and customers. But since he was not allowed to be tested, his case will not be counted. This is an unmitigated failure of our health system. Today, the governor announced that no one will have to pay for tests. What political grandstanding? No one has to pay for tests that aren't even available. We see stories like this popping up all over the world, actually. I've got stories like this from New Zealand. I've got them from Germany. I've got them from France. I've got them from all over the U.S., and it's just painful to read them. Meanwhile, in South Korea, they got these little things set up here, and you can get tested right on the spot, and they've got these very rapid tests now that can deliver results in a matter of hours. You just sort of drive up, and very low exposure because people are contained in their cars, and it looks very orderly. That's what's going on in South Korea. This is what's going on in the United States. I just can't even begin to compare that. Hey, this is what happens when the JV team beats you by 40 points. Mongolia here. This is from Nick Burt, longtime member at Peak Prosperity, a good long time. The government here in Mongolia is for the most part a clown show, yet somehow they're running circles around my home country in the USA, the richest country in the world, in italics, I think that's appropriate here, closing high-risk air routes, taking extra precautions with remaining functioning air routes, immediate isolation of high-risk individuals, and almost immediate testing, as in results in under 24 hours. If our government here is a clown show, then that makes the U.S. government that monkey at the zoo that flings its poo. Yeah, that's exactly right. The United States likes to think of itself as being above and beyond, but it's being absolutely run around circles by practically every other country on this, except for a few others. And by the way, yesterday I talked about Mongolia. This is a different Mongolia. This inner Mongolia is mainland China, so this is probably more fraudulent Chinese numbers. Nick Burt's talking about outer Mongolia, which is a separate country. So I just want to clarify that because I mischaracterized that yesterday. All right. Here's some bad advice. This is the New Zealand edition. How about this from Joe Taylor, posted again at our site. New Zealand, we only have 4 cases. All have originated from Italy and Iran. The couple who visited Italy are the biggest worry. She flew domestically, and he attended a concert while showing mild symptoms. Yes, this guy was at a Tool concert. They even said, I read the New Zealand report, they said, he was standing on the front left over there. If you were standing on the front left, come in and get checked out. But otherwise, everybody else, low risk or no risk, right? But we don't need to worry. The government is following WHO guidelines based on what China has told them. Yes, that's exactly what the director of health said. 1, we don't need face masks. 2, you only catch it from people with symptoms. 3, you have to be in close contact. 4, you have to wash your hands and not touch your face. 5, it's only spread by droplets. All right. And the question here is, none of the media are asking, if you can only catch it through close contact, how come all these people who went skiing in northern Italy all got the virus? That's a great question. So let's turn to the data. We're going to go to Singapore here because this is the data. This came out yesterday, and it's just a fantastic study. And I need all you health professionals, particularly anybody who's on frontline, if you're not following this advice, you've got to take this to your leadership. You've got to make them read this, shake it in front of their face as many times as you have to because it's important. All right. Here's research from Singapore published on March 4th showed that patients with the novel coronavirus extensively contaminate their bedrooms and bathrooms, underscoring the need to routinely clean high-touch surfaces, basins, and wash and toilet bowls. Extensively contaminate, all right? On the other hand, the virus was killed by twice-a-day cleaning of surfaces and daily cleaning of floors with a commonly used disinfectant, which suggests that current decontamination measures are sufficient as long as people adhere to them. That's the key. The research letter was published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, so that's JAMA, all right? So it's a good study here. This led scientists to believe that beyond catching the infection through coughing, environmental contamination was an important factor in the disease's transmission, but its extent was unclear. So let's look at the study and methods from this, because it's a really important study here. All right, they looked at the cases of 3 patients who were held in isolation rooms between late January, early February. They collected samples from their rooms on 5 days over a 2-week period. The room of 1 patient was sampled before routine cleaning, while the rooms of the other 2 patients were sampled after disinfection measures. The patient whose room was sampled before cleaning had the mildest symptoms of the 3, only experiencing a cough. The other 2 had moderate symptoms, both had coughing and fever, one shortness of breath, and the other was coughing up lung mucus. All right, so that's the study, and what are the punchlines? Despite this disparity, the patient whose room was sampled before cleaning contaminated 13 of 15 room sites tested, including their chair, the bed rail, the glass window of the room, the floor, light switches. Okay, people, here's the deal. If somebody has this and they're coughing, it's going all over the place. 3 of the 5 toilet sites were also contaminated, including the sink, the door handle, and the toilet bowl. More evidence that stool can be a route of transmission. Air samples tested negative. Phew, that's good, because we're looking for the aerosol, the mighty dreaded aerosol. but swabs taken from air exhaust outlets were positive, which suggests that virus-laden droplets may be carried by airflows and deposited on vents. I'm going to go further and say that's exactly what it showed, not may. So this means that we have aerosolized droplets once it's getting up into the air vents and being caught up there. So this is a really important thing right here that just happened, because this flies in the face of lots of things that are being said, including Bad Info, North Carolina edition. Laura sent me this today. Earlier came by email. This is Wake County Public School System. They are sending this out to parents and families, and this I cut out just this one part, but they put it in the bold, not me. And they said, health officials reassure us that a quarantined person is only contagious if they are showing symptoms of the illness. Just because a person is quarantined does not mean they have COVID-19. If someone is not showing signs of illness, they are not contagious and do not pose a risk to others. Let's turn to the data one more time. All right, this is data that I collected back a while ago. I believe this comes from mid-February. This February 14th, I think, is when I got this, somewhere around there. So this is another study in JAMA, and it shows a patient, a 20-year-old woman, and we need the data on this, right? Asymptomatic infectivity. This is the data we have. This is data, okay? Let's use it. 20-year-old woman lives in Wuhan and traveled to Anyang on January 10th. She initially met with patients 2 and 3. On January 13th, she accompanied 5 relatives to visit another hospitalized relative in Anyang District Hospital. Okay, no report of COVID-19 at this hospital. After development of disease in her relatives, patient 1 was isolated and observed. As of February 11th, she had no elevated temperature measured or self-reported fever, no gastrointestinal or respiratory symptoms, including cough or sore throat, reported or observed by physicians. CT images of her lungs, however, showed no significant abnormalities. So there's just nothing. She's just asymptomatic completely. All right. Patients 2 through 6 developed COVID-19. 4 were women and ranged from 42 to 57 years of age. None of the patients had visited Wuhan or been in contact with any other people who had traveled to Wuhan except patient 1, who was completely asymptomatic. All right. Results of her PCR testing for patient 1 were negative January 26th. They were positive on January 28th, negative again on February 5th and 8th, but no symptoms. So yes, here's a documented case of asymptomatic infectivity. Health officials reassure us that a quarantined person is only contagious if they are showing symptoms of the illness. I don't even know where they got that data from. Or how about this? Here's some different study. Asymptomatic cases in a family cluster with SARS-CoV-2 infection. This is from February 19th. And again, you could read this whole thing, but the bottom line here is that they had a lot. They were asymptomatic, the people involved in this story. Normal lymphocyte counts, chest CT images, but they had the positive PCR results, and they passed it on to their family members. So we've got papers, we've got science, we've got all that out there. All right. Bad Communication Federal Edition. This really drove me nuts, and I immediately jumped on this when I saw it. This is on NBC News. This is very recent. It says, this is Admiral Brett Giroir, Assistant Secretary for Health at HHS, says, the best estimates now of the overall mortality rate for COVID-19 is somewhere between 0.1 and 1%. That's lower than you heard probably in many reports, and it's not likely in the range of 2 to 3%. Don't know what this guy's up to, but he used this word overall mortality rate. Mortality is deaths divided by total population. The 2 to 3% thing is a case fatality rate. These are completely dissimilar epidemiological terms. The Assistant Secretary for Health at HHS certainly knows that. So this is just to sow confusion. And you know, obviously, if you said how many deaths do we have in the total population from COVID-19, if only 2% of the population even got the disease, obviously mortality rate would be very, very low. But the case fatality rate is actually what we care about in this particular story. And but this is just absolutely horrible communication that is either so bad that this person needs to be sacked immediately, or it was meant to confuse, and it was meant to deflect, and it was designed to sow confusion. So terrible, bad communication on that. All right, given all of that, given the data we just went through, how do you avoid being infected? Well, first, you avoid all gatherings, large or small. And we've had I've seen a lot of people out there, some countries define large as over 1,000, some is over 5,000, some it's 50, some it's 100. Listen, just avoid gatherings. Once everyone's wearing a face mask out in public, then this can be relaxed a bit. But, until everybody's wearing a mask, I would say you just avoid gatherings. That's how you avoid being infected. You just avoid gatherings, period. You got to treat sick people as if they're shedding aerosolized droplets. Why? Well, because they are. That's what the data says. We as well know that asymptomatic people could be shedding aerosolized droplets. That's why we have to say this is step one up here, okay? Step two, this is like treating every gun as if it's loaded. You got to treat everybody as if they're shedding aerosolized droplets until we know where the disease actually is. But of course, if we had great testing and better and more transparent reporting, this would be a lot easier task. But right now, I don't know where these people are. How would I know? How would you know? Nobody knows. All right. All sick people have to wear a mask at all times for sure. Guaranteed, no exceptions. That's just something that needs to be done. Oops, skip back here. You got to decontaminate all surfaces that might be touched by somebody before they are touched. Okay, so twice a day decontamination sounds good. Something you need to do. But mostly I want you to trust yourself. Just trust yourself. Trust yourself. Are your spidey senses tingling? Then heed them. All right. If you're saying to yourself, I don't know if I should go on this trip, then just don't. I don't know if I should sit next to that person. Don't. That's what you got to do in a situation like this. That isn't being racist. That isn't being non-PC, all that stuff. It's just, this is what you do. You just trust yourself, okay? Because the Italian story says that I don't want anything that possibly has a 20+% death rate if that's what they've got. It's just, no part of that action. None. I think the next financial crisis, it's on the way. And of course, if you understand what the Federal Reserve has done or not done or should have done but didn't do since 2008, you understand we live in a world leveraged to the hilt, loaded with debt. These are numbers I pulled off just before I started recording. The Dow's sporting, multi-100 point decline and all of that. But importantly, the Russell small cap stocks has made new lows for this move. The European stocks have broken to brand new lows. The Nikkei's broken to new lows for the move. They got a ways to go before they hit multi-year lows that they hit back in 2016, but on their way. Big story, though, for me is crude oil here with a big whopping. It was at one point an 8% decline. And so that's, if we round up, those are 8% declines for Brent and for WTIC over here. Those are huge. So something's coming, and oil is sniffing it out for sure. All right, conclusions. Italy's numbers, very worrying. Enough said on that. SARS-CoV-2. You know what? It sheds like crazy and contaminates surfaces all around an infected and infective person. It gets into air vents, which means it is floating about. We have aerosolized droplets. That's what the Singapore study says. If somebody shows me different and better data, I'll take it. But I'm not going to take these bland statements from health authorities who say they've heard from other health authorities that they heard it from somebody else that it's not. It doesn't spread by aerosolized droplets, because the data says it does. All right, terrible communication and worse, non-science-based directives are being issued by supposed health authorities, signs that I think they are panicking. They keep telling me not to panic. They keep telling you not to panic, but I think they're panicking. The next financial crisis, I believe, is well on its way. You're going to file this one under self-inflicted wounds because we should have had less debt in the system, not more. Whoops, I keep jumping around here. And finally, you know what? It didn't all have to be this way. It just didn't. So remember, this is not the flu. It's not SARS. I'm just going to throw this up here so that we can remember it. Remember the balancing act, really important. You got to balance these three things. And I know that's what the health authorities are really struggling with. And remember to resubscribe to this channel if you need to, because people keep getting unsubscribed. Thanks, Google. Really wonderful. I'm out here sharing data and helping people prepare and possibly even saving lives. And you're making it as hard as possible to continue to attract and retain people. So thanks for that. At any rate, that's all I've got for today. Thank you very much for listening. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Hi, folks. Adam Taggart here. Chris Martinson and I are the co-founders of Peak Prosperity. If you want to get alerted whenever we release a new video from Chris, just click the red subscribe button right beneath the YouTube video player. Once you've done that, a little bell icon will appear right next to it. Click on that bell. It looks like this. And that's it. The next time we publish a video from Kris, you'll immediately receive a notification from YouTube. Thanks for watching our videos.